Hello, my name's Aetos, and we're from zkPass. So zkPass is a private data verification protocol that is built upon the foundations of multi-party computation and zero-knowledge proofs. And that provides the apps with the ability to use private data from off-chain data sources as a dependency for their code. So a little introduction about me. My name's Aetos. Born, lived, and studied in Australia. I've done some entrepreneurial stuff back in university, and fresh off my education, I actually started my career at traditional banking sector. So, and then I turned into Tencent, and now in zkPass. So the main purpose of this talk really is to just have an in-person explanation of how our SDK works, as we've posted our bounty for ETHDenver. So this workshop would be less thought-provoking compared to other talks here, but it's more straightforward. So what we'll do is to mainly talk about a few parts. First of all, it's what zkPass does, and then we get into the technical nitty-gritties of the entire product flow from a builder's perspective. And then finally, if we have time, I'll try to get into a live demo, but if we don't have time, there are docs that we still that we have and that are still pretty self-explanatory, and we have a Telegram channel for builders that are interested to build on us, where all the questions can be directly answered. So there's a QR code here. Feel free to scan it to get into the Telegram channel. Yeah. So most of our reputation came from us winning the Binance Launchpad. So let me give you guys a really quick update of how we're doing. We closed our round last year with a 2.5 million seed round. We were proudly backed by Sequoia, OKX, Binance, and a few other prominent VCs in the industry. And we have fairly nice traction because we launched our pre-alpha at the end of last year and had some pretty significant number of users. We also collaborated with Linea and Binance Attestation Service for their Proof of Humanity campaign. But we also have a lot of other big use cases down the line. For example, some of the ones are telecom companies from traditional Web2 industries. Yeah. So you guys might be wondering, like, why are we focused on private data? So let's look at a report from 2018. And you can see the overall data sphere is increasing, and the percentage of private data is increasing. So the reason for this is pretty obvious, as the private data is mostly customer data. So with the increase of haptic devices that you have, every transaction, every interaction that you have on the internet could mean some sort of private data generated. So since these sort of data is very easily generated, so there's much more private data than public data. And the private data sphere projects to be 7 times larger than the public one by 2025. So now let's look at the competitive landscape in terms of projects that are playing with data. As you can see, like, there are prominent names in their respective places. For example, the Chainlink, Super Oracles, Stripe, Fractal ID, Click ID, Binance Attestation, Ethereum Attestation Service, Gitcoin Passport, and all these. But with off-chain private data, there's only a handful of projects that you might be able to name, and we're definitely the pioneers in this realm. So what we propose is a solution that is able to verify any data from any account and any website. We're compatible with all existing infras in Web2, so we're able to break oracles free from the limitations of API. Oracle still relies on APIs to grab and feed information from different applications. So yeah, so just look at how many projects and how many products that were built using Chainlink and Super Oracles. Now imagine that what they can do, we can do what they can do permissionlessly. And that really leaves a lot of room of imagination for applications that can be built with our solutions. So to better visualize this, let's try to look at the video for the linear voyage campaign, where we used Uber as a standard to prove your humanity. I'll see if this can be. Oh. Oh. So it's not. It's not. Okay. Fine. So the demo is not available right now, but you can always like look into it in YouTube. We have a channel there. But yes, so Uber as a standard to prove your humanity is really just the tip of the iceberg. zkPass is able to verify identities from a vast amount of data sources, such as government-issued IDs, online credentials, healthcare data, gaming profiles, or online assets. So we're able to work with RWAs as well. And so now let's figure out how everything works in the backend. So in builder's perspective, zkPass works in 3 simple steps. So it's define, retrieve, and verify. So going from define, you need to define the scope of data that you want from the user. So what you got to do is first, you got to register on the dev center that we have. And then we would, there is a schema validator that allows you to, which is sort of acting as like a plugin to validate that the schema does not have bugs, so it doesn't like tamper or look into any of the work you're doing. But yeah, and then you can also like after installing it, you would create a customized schema, or you could use schemas that we've already written. Yeah, and then so when the user comes in and starts the minting process, the user will be redirected to the data source where the user logs in and starts the attestation process. Then the protocol starts to run and then returns a proof that can be submitted on chain. And then, so this submitting on-chain process is really just a storage, a way to store this proof. So it can be also directly used to verify for your own project. So within this step is really what, so within this step is what the magic really happens. So the retrieval of private data and the verification process is conducted between the 3 parties, the zkPass node, the user, and the data source. So although the technicalities of our system is going to take a little too long to discuss in this workshop, our SDK is carefully abstracts them away from the builders. So if you're interested to know more on how our protocol works from behind the scenes, feel free to read our white paper on our website. But essentially what our SDK does is after you've defined the schema for the data you're retrieving, you would provide the schema to the protocol, and it would return a node address, node addresses, which contains a node allocator node and a validator node, and also hashes of these node addresses, and then also a nullifier to prevent redundant duplicates that was generated, and also a task ID that was allocated, that is used to for the allocator to tell the user which validator that they have to interact with. Then through the SDK, you can feed the hashes into the SDK verification function, and then it returns the address. So if the prior and the latter one matches, the SBT is valid, or else it's not valid. So yeah, that's how you prove it. So we do have time. I'm gonna put up a live demo. So starting from a dev center, One sec. Lagging a little bit. All right. So this is our dev center. Uh, uh, all right. This is our dev center, and first of all, you have to connect your wallet, and then you can create a project here. So that project would creating a project would give you a app ID, which is you can view it as a API key, and that so you input the name and the domain. The domain has to be the one that you're hosting with. For example, let's put demo here, and then we're locally hosting it. And then these two are just it could be anything. So I'll just leave it open. Okay, so let's just assume we've created, because I think there's some issues with the network, but um, let's just assume you've created the project, you've registered the project. In here, you can select add schema for the pre-built schemas, and then you can also like create your own schemas. And this schema is essentially, so you take the JSON response. For example, if you want to prove that your Binance balance has over a certain amount of dollars, what you do is you would log in to your Binance account, and then there would be a QR code. And then after logging into it, you would go to the developer console, and then you would look into the network. So you would see that when it loads, there is a API that feeds the to this one. So there's my holdings, and then you would use this to create a schema that you would insert in here. So for the time being, I've already made changes to the schema. Okay. So what this does is it takes the data that was asserted, 6 of them in total, and then calculates if it's the actual value is over $100, 100 US dollars. And then also there's a code that proves that the person is you. Wait. Name, finance balance, IMU. So there's supposed to be a category in here that allows you to choose different categories that your schema belongs to. And then after you've done this, you would check the schema, and then the schema would run its for the first time. I don't know why. Oh. Yeah, so after you've checked the loads, yeah, sorry guys, there's definitely like some technical difficulties here. Um, maybe we'll try to resolve this after, but the live demo I think doesn't work now. Yeah, so add the Telegram channel and try if you guys are building on this, definitely like ask our devs on how this is gonna be resolved. But I think this is just this computer's problem. I don't think it's the problem with the protocol itself. So yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you for your time. Yeah.